Hello, thanks for joining us on your channel of choice at this time, Africa Independent Television. Welcome to Focus Nigeria, your program that puts the searchlight on topical issues in the polity. My name is Benga Aruleba. It's a fresh week. The National Assembly will begin its long recess after a crucial week of action this week. There are indications that before the National Assembly proceeds on leave, substantial part of its time this week will be devoted to the important assignment of amending the Constitution and the Electoral Act as well. First, contrary to the belief last week, or perhaps responding to criticisms that immediately followed the outcome of his summit in Lagos, the National Assembly is set to adopt the salient points canvassed in the not too young to run bill by tinkering with the age requirements for some political offices. The proposed amendment will see the age requirement for the office of president lowered to 35 years from the present 40 years. Independent persons would also be able to run for offices, while the obnoxious Land Use Act may finally be abrogated completely. Other issues, the National Assembly ad hoc committees, both in the House and in the Senate, on constitutional review are also toying with, although not completely new, financial autonomy for local governments, 35% affirmative action for women in respect of all elective and appointive offices, while it's also being proposed that a president must name his or her cabinet. Yes, why not her? His or her cabinet within 30 days of taking the oath of office. Other innovations include a bar on deputy governors or vice presidents who succeed their dead or impeached incumbent bosses from seeking a second term in office, resulting in tenure elongation. In other words, completing that term will be their first term. Or will be their second term, really. No, it will be their second term, really. There are more such innovations, such as setting a timeline within which pre-election cases are dealt with and disposed of, right from the court of first instance up to the final levels. There's also a proposal to expand the National Council of State to include past speakers of the House of Representatives and Senate presidents who were not impeached as members of the National Council of State. All of these innovations are contained in the reports that the two committees, that is the ad hoc committee in the House and the ad hoc committee in the Senate, may be presented to their different plenaries this week for debate and adoption. So a very busy week, an epoch-making week as well, it seems to be. And from here, talking about AIT generally, the National Assembly can count on us to provide the platforms to drive all of these issues. Right, some two quick issues before we launch our conversation for today. Residents of Lagos went to the polls on Saturday to elect new chairmen and councillors for the 20 local government councils and the 37 unrecognized local government council development authorities, LCDAs. Although such elections everywhere, as we have seen, have always recorded very low turnout, the exercise in Lagos on Saturday was further compounded by heavy rains, which resulted in flooding in parts of the state. No surprises, and Lagos won't be an exception to the established norm where the ruling parties in the state make a clean sweep of the stakes. But last Saturday's election in Lagos indeed witnessed a lot of complaints before the exercise got underway.
Being the polling booth since 7 o'clock, the INEC people, they didn't come.
I have thought through the 21 polling units in Wadef here. It's a life weakness. Even there are some places where we don't have even LASTEC agents there.
We are all ready to vote, and we are ready to agree on the time that we will use for voting.
Mixed up between two words here. Here, this is word
F
and word G. So there was a mixed up between the two. So they were sorting the paper out.
In Abiodun Ajijola, we have 7 wards, but in ward F here and some polling booths in some wards, there is no election there. We saw all the LASEC representative, but we didn't see their materials since morning.
This election has taken them 5 good years. So why would they, after 5 years, they cannot organize an election?
They've been moving election material into Agbade Okojo local government area office. We thought that it's going to be a free, fair, and a very good election, but I'm surprised that it was like this.
The election can no longer hold today again. They should fix a date for us to hold that election. We are ready to vote it there.
Complaints and complaints and complaints, but the election went on that way all the same. And like I said, the All Progressives Congress APC made it a clean sweep, won all the 20 local government chairmen and the 37 chairmanship position for the LCDAs, won all the councillorship positions, and all of that. All right, let me address this other issue too. Very ugly one, sad and very worrisome development in the National Assembly is a culture that is becoming institutionalized. And again, like I keep saying on this platform, all men and women, Nigerians of good conscience, must speak up whenever we raise issues like this and demand that our leaders in the 2 chambers of the National Assembly should respect the oath they took to defend and uphold the Constitution. Not just the spirit, but the letters of it as well. Now, here we go on this issue. On June 23 this year, that's almost approximately a month ago, the Supreme Court of Nigeria delivered a judgment which effectively removed from the House of Representatives Honorable Herman Hembe, who had been representing the Vandekia Koshisha Federal Constituency area of Benue State since 2007. A Supreme Court panel of 7 justices had held that Herman Hembe, did not win the APC primaries conducted in 2015 to pick the candidate for that election, but rather the justices held that another member of the party, Dr. Dorothy Mato, had proved with incontrovertible evidence that she won the primaries. The Supreme Court then ordered Hembe to vacate the seat in the House of Representatives with immediate effect. To show how serious it meant its order to be complied with, the Supreme Court also ordered Hembe to pay back in full into the National Assembly coffers within 90 days all salaries and allowances he had collected since he illegally assumed that seat in June 2015. Now, it's instructive here to recount that the Chief Justice of Nigeria, #1 judicial officer of the land, Justice Walter Onogen, himself wrote this judgment. Now, a month down the line, the report we are getting is a disheartening one, and it is that the leadership of the House of Representatives had continued to play games, frustrate the efforts of Dr. Mrs. Mato to be sworn in and assume a seat she had been deprived of for over 2 years in the first place. She has been coming to the National Assembly every day, but everybody has been ignoring her. Now, nothing can be more irresponsible of a public official, if this is true, to try to make nonsense of a Supreme Court judgment and continue to deprive a litigant of the fruits of a hard-won legal battle of over 2 years by the leadership of the House of Representatives. Now, this is an affront. Now, a cursory look at the history of this case, as recounted by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, in his comprehensive judgment, shows a Herman Hembe that from day one knew he had a very bad case. He wasn't ready for it, but was banking on technicalities to frustrate his opponent. And for over 2 years, in a 4-year tenure, he succeeded in doing it. He did not file any defense to Mrs. Mato's very serious originating summons at the High Court, but dwell all through on technicalities, which he raised through plenary objections. It was therefore an infuriated Supreme Court panel that had his appeal and discovered that Herman Hembe didn't file any defense at all, but was hanging on the straws of technicalities. And rather than indulge him after this last straw had been destroyed, the Supreme Court simply invoked his age-long decision of dispensing justice to all as a court of policy and decided to evaluate the evidence adduced by the litigant, that's Dr. Mato. And since there was nothing on record for Hembe, it was an easy case to resolve in favor of the defendant. Now, even after he had exhausted all the processes of the court and failed, he has not told us he's going to ECOWAS court or United Nations. Herman Hembe is still playing politics here. And it's sad that this time around, the leadership of the House of Representatives is giving him protection. Now, I'm shocked that Speaker Yakubu Dogara, a lawyer of so many years, will be a party to this brazen attempt at frustrating the execution of the judgment of the highest court of the land. Now, we understand all of this hanky-panky is to enable Hembe collect the allocation for July before he goes. Ha, really? Now, didn't the Supreme Court in the first place order him to pay back all that he had been paid? So, we are being told indirectly that this part of the judgment would never be complied with. After all, it's a public money. Jesus. All right. Let's see where all of this take Amahembe and his co-travelers. Right. Our discussion is up next. Abiodun Ajijola is the national coordinator of election monitors, a non-state actor that has become an established voice and a leading authority on all issues about elections. Even as the National Assembly resumes that task of constitution and electoral reforms this week, the election monitors has come up with some innovations on how to ensure the success of the ongoing nationwide continuous voter registration exercise. Abiodun Ajijola joins me shortly as we look at all of this, as well as the proposals for electoral reforms, which may be coming up for debate and an adoption in the two chambers of Parliament this week. Abiodun Ajijola will join me after this short break.
They see chaos and conflicts. We see community action for good governance. They see poverty and want. We see perseverance and the will to go on. They see economic law. We see the ingenuity and creative spirit of our people. We are AIT News, fresh, authentic views of Africa. How would you rather see the world? AIT News, all sides, all the time.
All right, we are going to our discussion segment now. You are free to put your mouth where your money is. You can also volunteer your views on some of the issues that I raised in the prologue, particularly the Ham and Hembe issue. Should the leadership of the House of Representatives continue to play this kind of game with a Supreme Court judgment of exactly a month ago, a judgment that says with immediate effect, and 1 month after, the leadership of the House of Representatives is still deciding whether to obey that judgment or disobey it. Abiodun Ajijola is joining me. He's National Coordinator, Election Monitors, founder, Get Registered Naija. We'll be getting to know what this Get Registered Naija mobile app is all about. But let me formally welcome him. Abiodun, good to see you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Okay, let me also bring this publicly so that Nigerians will know that this man is a patron to the call. Although we had agreed that you will be my guest today, that was settled since Thursday also. Yeah. Even though you told me you had a pressing family commitment and that you'll be going to Akure.
Yes.
You left Akure 2 a.m. this morning, you said?
Yes, sir.
To be able to make it to Abuja.
Yes.
We thank God for joining message.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's start from the preliminary issues. Right. How long should we take this? The House of Representatives to comply with a judgment, the final judgment of the final court of the land, the Supreme Court, a judgment that says do this with immediate effect. Yeah. This is 1 month after that judgment was delivered.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't know some of the intricacies that have led to their delay in it, but I think it is a clear issue.
They cannot say they are waiting for a copy of
for
the
anything.
Order. Yeah. I got a copy of that judgment the very day it was delivered. Released.
So I think you know, it may just be some solidarity and all that, which I think is not too good for our democracy. And also, they should also remember that whoever is coming in is going to be a member of the House of Representatives as well, and you want the person to feel at home. You don't want it to be as if whoever is coming in is unaccepted, you know, and you are unhappy that the other person had to go, because basically it's a decision of the court of law. So I think the position is not the best. I expect
the solidarity they are trying to show to Ama Hembe is completely uncalled for. Here is somebody who's been in that place since 2007. He has his friends and all of that. So they are trying to show some kind of esprit de corps here and all of that. But those are sentiments that have no place
in democracy.
And we are talking of the day this woman takes the oath of office. her tenure doesn't start running that day. Her tenure has been running since Amahembe illegally assumed that seat.
In May 2015.
So I don't think it's fair with the system.
No, it's really it's wrong, and I think it's one of those things that we need to adjust.
Perhaps that's why the Supreme Court said he should pay back every kobo he has earned on that seat. Since,
so to discourage people from prolonging their time. So even if you stay there for an extra how many months, you're still going to pay everything that you have
even if it's going to, even though he's going to pay, the court said he should pay it into the coffers of the National Assembly. I think that money should go to that woman. That has been illegally deprived. More so when he's not going to get tenure elevation.
Exactly.
She leaves the day the National Assembly stands dissolved.
And she has been in court for 2 years.
You
know, for her own, for her mandate, the mandate that she deserves, which her people had given to her.
For her to at least recoup some
of the costs, because it would have cost her a lot. She did election, which cost a lot.
All right, what else did we raise there? Lagos State joined the list of states that have conducted local government elections. So, as usual, the elections were also conducted into the 37 LCDAs that have no form of constitutional backing yet. But APC in a cosmopolitan state like Lagos made, and in spite of all the complaints against APC, change has turned to something else, this is not the change we're bargaining for, still one of the seats inside.
Well,
is that possible or fathomable?
Well, you see, the way we run the local government system is a system where the governor has total control, and he controls all the structures at state level. So it's almost impossible for an opposition to emerge under the current system of administration at state level. Also, the way the elections are conducted, the State Independent Electoral Commission is quite different from the Independent National Electoral Commission, primarily in the area of funding. So the State Independent Electoral Commission chairman has to apply to the governor for fund. And I have related with several chairmen of CX, and some will tell you that in some cases, the governors will frustrate their ability to get money because they want to have caretaker committee. Some will ensure that the money is released, but it will be almost
not at the time you need it.
You need it, or almost on condition. So whoever is the chairman of the State Independent Electoral Commission has very little maneuvering to make. And as a result of that, the person has to play ball. So until we can remove the funding challenge for State Independent Electoral Commissions, I think you cannot expect anything different. And it's not only in Lagos, it's in almost every state. Whatever the seat of the governor is always the seat of everybody in the local government. And as I said, when you can give autonomy to finance and you can raise your funding yourself, or there's a first line charge. So as the money comes to the states, there's something that goes straight to the State Independent Electoral Commission. Just like the federal government cannot determine what comes to the commission, INEC. And then that gives the commission some level of independence in its budgeting and its, running its activities. And that gives some level of independence. So if you don't have that, at the state level, I don't expect anything to change for now. So it's all right.
So if we want to put that issue on the template for reform, we making the Independent National Electoral Commission to also assume the role of conducting elections in local government. What will it do to our federalism?
I personally am not in support of that. I don't think the solution is to
because if we say in one breath that local governments are the responsibilities of states, why do we then need a federal body to cross that line to come and superintend over elections for a unit of government or a tier of government that is under the states?
I personally, I think already the commission has so much to do. As you are aware, some of the recommendations are even to take some of the responsibilities of the commission away. Things like, prosecuting electoral offenders. Unbundling, so you have things like prosecuting electoral offenders. So you now have, suggestions of having another commission to manage that, Electoral Offenses Commission. And then you also have Political Party Registration Commission, where people are saying, look, let political party issues be managed by a separate body as well. So if you now say that the commission should be involved, that's INEC, should be involved in conducting local government elections in 36 states, because already it does for area council elections in the FCT. I think what you are doing is bringing an overburden, you're overburdening the commission, and I don't think it's necessary. I think the State Independent Electoral Commission should be strengthened, and we should encourage local government.
Who should do that? If they are composed by the governors and nothing, they really have unfettered powers
yes,
to do that.
So I think
it's only when a governor wants to be seen to be fair
yeah.
that he can decide to, well, take a gamble like Jonathan did when he picked Professor Jega
yeah.
from nowhere.
Yeah.
He said he didn't know him. He has not. But I didn't believe him when he said he has not heard of him.
Okay.
But if he didn't know him, well, that is possible. He has not met him. That's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, but not all governors. The governors we are seeing now are not the type who will want to take that kind of a gamble.
Yes, so that's a very significant challenge. And I think already in the Senate amendment because the Senate has already made some amendments toward the Electoral Act, I think one of the areas it discussed was the issue of CX. But I don't think what the provision it made is robust enough.
What they are proposing?
Yes, it's not robust enough until the issue of funding is addressed, whereby the finance comes directly through a first-line charge, where the governors have no access to the funds. I think we will not be able to get a solution. Then secondly, we must have local government autonomy as well. So these two things happening together, as the local governments are becoming financially autonomous and are able to administer themselves as proper units, then at the same time, you also have the CX being strengthened financially. So at that time, you start to find out that CX will not be servants of the state governments, and then the local governments, because the chairmen are autonomous, you will have people that will dissent with the governors. Not everybody will be a person of the governor, because as you know, in almost every state, we have different, strongholds. So that you see a governor doesn't mean has a stronghold all through the state.
Exactly.
Like in
it's not even possible.
It's not possible. So, for example, in Ondo State, when you talk
I'm surprised that in Lagos, for instance,
yes,
there are some parts of Lagos where you could actually predict that if a candidate from a particular tribe
came in, they would win.
Contest an election in this place,
yes,
the chances are that he will win.
Yes, because
as a councillor.
Yes, because they've won in Federal House of Rep.
Yes.
From that place.
So why should
but you can't win the local government because of this system. So if these two issues can be addressed, it will help us to democratize the local government election.
Is there a way to smuggle in that what we are suggesting now under the proposed amendments to the local government, whereby since the country already says the system of government that is acceptable in the local government is a democratic one? Is it possible to smuggle it in then that in the state electoral commissioners that will conduct such democratic elections for the local government must have first-line charge for funding?
Yeah, I would want to believe so, but I think...
how would we be able to enforce it and ensure that states actually comply with it?
Yeah, so and that's another issue because, you also have to get the state assemblies as well to buy into it, and the state assemblies are usually the just tampered of the governor. So it will be quite difficult. But I think if efforts are made, we might achieve it. I mean, we have to try. We just have to try. I mean,
nothing ventured, nothing.
Yes, we have to try. It is in the interest, and I think also the governors and the other top leaders must accept that this is in the best interest of the country. At the same time, you have a 2-year tenure maximum. So you're leaving eventually. So why don't you create a system that is even going to be favorable to you? Because we've seen situations where governors leave power, somebody else comes in, and they get shut out of the political system in their own state because using
the structures they put in place.
Yes,
while
they
put
the structures in place. The next person, they have issues with that person, and the person locks them out of politics. But if they have created a democratic system that works for everybody, by the time they leave the system, even if they want to come in for whatever purpose, it will be able to work for them. So I think we need to look beyond what we are enjoying at the moment. And I hope that our leaders will do that.
Okay, let me get to our social platform before I get to the second phase.
Yeah.
Adobe Blue Jack, is liking our tweet. Morgan Omodu is following us. Coalition CCG is following. Bashir Usman, Big Law is following. Dele Jackson Mesh. Ogaji, the amendments are the most ambitious and wide-ranging attempt at further enhancing the provisions of electoral conduct in Nigeria. Good. Kayode Temidayo, Hembe and NASS. Despite supporting Buhari in 2015, I can say that APC is a lawless and reckless party. This has nothing to do with APC. Now, this particular Hembe issue has to do with APC. I think it's just a personal thing. It's just a personal attitude. If you know the Hammer Hembe we are talking about here, he's been in the house since 2007. He has a record of being one of the most obnoxious and arrogant human beings you can deal with. I'm taking nothing away from anyway. Dele Jackson mentioned, Ogaji, the INEC must make sure it pay cognizance to the 17 points electoral reform bill passed by the National Assembly if you want free election. Who else has tweeted us? Dele Jackson again. On paper, Nigeria has one of the most robust electoral rules of any emerging democracy. Unfortunately, most are primarily observed in the breach. I agree with you. Charles Abakigbo says, I support the whistleblower bill. Oh, that must be an old tweet. All right, let me go back to the beginning then. All right, you are free to join us, tweet at us. Right.
Yeah.
If reports we are getting is anything to go by, it's going to be a very busy time this week in the National Assembly before they go on recess.
Yeah.
So many innovations we're going to be seeing as they pass their report on constitutional amendment and electoral reforms, really.
Yeah.
And it will be good if we're able to sort out all the gray areas long before the 2019 general elections.
Very important.
Anambra is already gone. We can't use the proposed amendments. We can't test them out in Anambra.
Yeah.
But at least 2 standalone elections in 2018 should present us with the chance of testing out those reforms before the 2019 general election. Anambra, of course, and Ekiti and Osun.
Yeah.
Anambra is already out of it in November this year. We'll come back to that issue, but let me bring on the template this one, this Get Registered Naija mobile app that the election monitors launched last week.
Yeah.
What is this app all about?
Okay, thank you very much. Basically, if you where the Independent National Electoral Commission has commenced on 27th of April a drive for continuous voter registration, and it's not a new registration. So that means that if you have already registered before, you are not expected to register again. But basically for people that have not registered at all, or people that registered initially but they had challenges, maybe some of their fingerprints were incomplete or things like that, or during the last registration period you were not available, you could not register, you were out of the country, you are indisposed. So it's expected that such people should take up this opportunity to get registered. But one of the things we have observed in looking at the process so far is that even if you just go to the online platform of the INEC Twitter handle, you will see that there are certain issues that are being raised from time to time by citizens. You know, like for example, some people claim they do not know how to locate the registration center. So for example, INEC has some designated centers across the country where you can get registered for this process. But some people will say, look, I don't even know the address or the location. And for us, that was an issue. Fine, you can go to some places on the INEC website, some other websites, but people also don't know where to get this information, even on those places. So that had become a significant issue. Where can we actually get registered, the location? Then in addition to that, we've also had people not even being sure of what the process means to them or how to engage in the process. So for example, when you look at the current situation, you find out that some don't even know their voter registration status. And that is very risky because, as you know, double registration is an offense, criminal offense. And there are people who are registering for the election who are going to register through the continuous voter registration process that have already registered before. And that is a big challenge. And they shouldn't actually do that. You know, recently there was the issue of Yaya Bello in Kogi State, where there was some news about issue of double registration and all of that. Now, part of this kind of issue is what we are trying to solve with this mobile application. Because if, as a voter, you are able to identify your voter registration status, at least you will be able to determine if you have already been registered. Now, once you determine that, the next thing is to identify where your PVC is located, if you don't know for whatever reason, and then you can go and pick it. But if you are able to check the voter registration platform and discover that you have not been registered, or your registration was not captured, or there was a challenge, or you also know that you haven't been registered, then you should embark on locating the registration center. Also, you may want to transfer your registration. So maybe you are registered in Abuja, but for the purposes of 2019 general elections, you want to do it in Umuahia. And you might say, okay, how do I do that?
These are visuals or graphics?
Yes, exactly.
Because I'd like you actually to explain to us how it works.
Okay,
and
fine.
What Nigerians
Okay.
How is this likely to ease up
the process?
Yes.
So, for example, some of the issues that I have mentioned now as challenges are the information gaps where people don't know the locations. So, if they put it back on the screen, you see that you have, for example, LGA registration centers, a button. When you click that button, it will now give you all the 36 states in the federation.
That is once you have
downloaded, you need to first download the app at www.getregisteredniger.com.
Okay.
www.getregisteredniger.com.
That is the only place where you can download it.
Where you can download it, or you can go to getregisteredniger.com. And even if you go to Google Play and you write in the name of the application, Google Play.
It's available on Google Play.
Yes, it is through Google. This leads you to the Google Play handle.
Okay.
So
that's if you go to getregisteredniger.com.
Yes, it leads you to Google Play. Yes, exactly. Or if you just type in this application name, Get Registered Niger, on Google Play, it will also give you the application where you can download it. At the moment, we only have it on Android. As you know, about over 70% of Nigerians use Android. Very few people use iPhones because it's very expensive and all that. But we are currently developing the iPhone and Windows platform version as well. But the essence is, if you go to this website, you can download the application. When you download the application on your Android phone at the moment, you can now access this information. So, for example, as I showed you earlier on, if you click on the button that has local LG registration centers, it will give you the list of 36 states of the Federation plus the FCT. And once you click on any state, it will drop down all the local governments in that particular state. And then when you click the local government of your choice, where you either reside or where you want to register, then it will now give you the address of that registration center in that local government, including the Google map to directions for you to locate that address. So that addresses the issue of addresses. Location. Also, we included the INEC state offices simply because sometimes you want to do transfer of your registration from one place to the other, and you may need to write a letter to the resident electoral commissioner requesting for that state that your transfer of your voter registration card from a place to another place. So we also included that information as well. But at the same time, on that very first page of the application, we also have the button that clicks you to the voter verification status, which is from the INEC website. And through that particular place, you can determine and confirm if you are already registered.
So because there are people who have registered,
and they
don't know their status.
Who don't know
and their cards are ready.
And they are going back to register.
And once you do that,
it's an offense.
First of all, you have committed an offense. And then it disqualifies you. Because I don't know whether it also nullifies the previous registration.
Well, I think
or that it is not that you have committed an offense.
It's an offense.
But you will still, it will register you a second time, but it will register you as an offender.
What happens is that, the commission has a procedure to clean out double registrations or multiple registrations. So after it does all this registration activity, it will still go back and clean it, which is what we have the AFIS and business rules to remove double registrations and registrations that are faulty or have challenges. So somebody that has registered 3-4 times will only have one registration that is valid. All the other multiple registrations will be cleaned out of the system. But it's an offense. As you can see, at a point, of political opponents of the Kogi State governor started using it against him, saying that, look, you committed a crime by doing double registration. And that issue was in the news for quite some time. And so you might say it's a little thing, double registration, but it could be a big thing if someone wants to use it against you. So it's better not to contravene the law. So identify your voter registration status. So when you download the app, one of the first buttons you see on the template, as soon as you open it, is the voter verification status. Then you can identify. Another critical issue is the polling unit locator, which helps you to identify the actual polling unit that is closest to you. Because let me give you an example. In FCT now, in AMAC is a local government, more or less. And the INEC registration center the primary INEC registration center is in Karo, right? But as you know, AMAC is quite large. You have Maitama, you have Wuse, you have Gariki, you have so many areas under AMAC. Now, if you go to Karo to register, but you have not known your local government registration center, your polling unit, when you are registering, you may not be able to give the exact location that will be closest to you on election day to the registration officer. So, for example, you may say you may tell the registration officer you stay in Garki, right? And you know there's a big difference between Garki 2 and somebody
village.
in Area 7 or Garki village. You understand?
Yes.
Or Area 11. You know.
And then you are put in a polling unit where you have to
trek for 30 minutes or 1 hour
probably
on election
need to drive.
And on election day you cannot do that. So if you have identified the polling unit closest to you before you go to the registration center through this application, you can take that information to the polling of to the registration official and say, look, I live in Maitama in Ghana Street, and there's a polling unit at Maitama Secondary School very close to my house. I would appreciate it if I could be registered to this polling unit because I can trek there on election day. Not that because I stay in Maitama, you go and put me at Nikon Junction, and maybe I live at Ghana Street or Asa Street, and I'm going to not be able to get there on election day. So these are things that we assist the voters to get properly located on election day. And we're also hoping that the political parties will be more interested in this process. Because like one of the things I discussed earlier before coming in was that in 2015, you know, we had a registration in 2014, right? And in that registration, if you look at all the states won by Goodluck Jonathan in the presidential election of 2015, and you take the total registrations, new registrations in those states where he won, there were 3,321,531 were the total new registrations that we actually have the presentation. So that was the total new registrations, which was 34% of new registrations for that year. Now, if you look at the states won by Muhammadu Buhari in 2015 presidential election, the total new registrations for that same election under states won by President Muhammadu Buhari was 6,591,867. You can see the chart there, which is a difference of 3,270,336. What does this mean? This means that before the presidential election, President Buhari had won the election. Because in the states where he was popular, and he had mobilized more people to register than his opponent had done. And this is a time-tested principle in winning elections.
Like we see the millennials do
beautiful in the US. Now, in 2008, this is what Obama did to win election. He identified the critical gap, 20 years to 25 years. They had done their survey and discovered that this band of 20 to 25 years were not really participating in the electoral process. And they were not engaged. Many of them were not voting. Many of them did not find voting important. So what he did was to develop a research team and then to bankroll those people, to bankroll a ground game. Yes. So at the end of the day, there was a report that came out, and it said Mr. Obama spent a lot of money early on in the campaign to organize the ground game, to register voters and deliver them on voting day. So he was able to get about 5 million voters extra. Fresh voters that had never participated in the election before. And that was what gave the difference in the election 2008, and he won. And
political parties in Nigeria are not seeing
no, political parties are not doing that.
Particularly when the game has changed.
Yes.
The game changer being the fact that you have to be physically accredited.
Yes. So manipulation is
not by human being, but by a machine that doesn't understand your
so the room for manipulation has changed. So you don't have as much room of stuffing ballot. Okay, look at the Osun election that just happened in a few weeks ago. Do you believe that I've never seen an election so wonderfully conducted? And we must congratulate INEC for that. There were no single cancellations in all 10 local government areas. Not a single cancellation in any ward, in any polling unit at all. That is, everything went smoothly, right? There was a good voter turnout of about 39.7%.
The highest.
You know, quite high, although they had been higher than that at some time in the past, but which is quite good for national average. But my point is there were no significant electoral malpractices.
So the level of awareness
was very high. Let me tell you one of my experiences I had at the collation center at Iwo, with the senatorial collation center. As we were coming in, we saw hundreds of youths at the gate of the collation center. And all of a sudden, about 5 youths, me and two colleagues were going in at the same time. All of a sudden, about 5 people just surrounded us and started telling us that what is in our bags, what is in our bags. And we're like, oh, this is just a laptop and some other things. They said, no, we have to open it. So these youths were very, very mean. And we opened it, they sat, and this was despite there were police and soldiers at the gate.
They too were ready to play their own part.
These people were doing their own parts at the gate of the
election vigilantes.
Yes, so they searched us. And not only did they search us, they even searched INEC officials too that were coming into that location. So what you see was there was a high level of vigilance. So our elections are moving to a level where manipulation and all those things are not as easy as before. So you need to play the game properly. And one of the key areas that gives victory in election is new voter registration. Yeah. If you get more people out on your own side, people that ordinarily would not vote on election day, people that are not interested in the process, you are able to identify them through research, mobilize them to come out and register. Through our application, for example, we want to register 1 million. We want to encourage 1 million Nigerians to come out between now and the ending of next year. And that's just about 1,291 per local government. And that's what we call the 1 million campaign. Extra 1 million people that are registered. That's part of why we created this application.
Unfortunately, you are not going to be the beneficiary.
No, I'm not.
The people who are going to be the beneficiary are just sitting down there.
Exactly, hoping for some other things.
The PDP just got itself sorted out in recently, and they're already all over the place as if the Supreme Court is end all of all their issues. Problems. Yeah. 2019 is there for them to take.
Yeah, and I can assure you that based on the current situation of Nigerian politics, each political party and each candidate, even at their local levels, be it senatorial, constituency, or state government, has their own stronghold. So, for example, now, if you go to Ondo State, you look at the South Senatorial District had always been a stronghold for the PDP because of, some of the natures of the voting there. Now, you look at the North Senatorial District, it's very strong for the APC and also the Central, in Ondo State, for example. And you find out that these are some of the what we experience in different states. So, if you, as a politician, wants to win election in 2019, you cannot necessarily defeat your opponent always in his own stronghold. So what you need to identify is how can you create a new area where you can have dominance. And one of the ways to do that is identify those who've not been registered, those who are not interested in the process, convince them to be interested, get them out, and then they become advantageous to you. And that's really, I think, what's going to define 2019 general elections, the new voters.
Let me read some tweets. I already saw one of them saying that they cannot find the app on Google Play. Okay. But let me read everything in whole, so that we know the other ones. Let me go back to where I stopped the other time. Okay. Morgan Omodu says Yakubu Dogara is a law-abiding citizen as well as Hama Hembe both are even lawyers. Okay. Bemi Oyebisi says the press should give publicity to the fact that the House of Representatives is aiding Hembe's disregard for the law. Victor Showemo says with the current situation we have, LGA in Nigeria is an extension of the governor's office. Morgan Omodo again, let's build the institutions together. Thank you. All right. Mr. Bassett says, Benga, this Hembe's case is a very serious one and should be treated as such. The leadership of the House has a fault on this. And Bemi Oyebi says, the continued stay of Hembe is a disservice to the nation by the House of Reps. Mr. Bassett says, I'm so particular about Mr. Hembe's case because I remember his ordeal during the SEC probe. He should be made to pay every penny. Okay, including the one he's waiting to collect too. Mr. Gbenga, I appreciate the way you touchlight serious issues pressing on the country. I hope we get it right someday in Nigeria. That's Mr. Bassi. B. Amin Ismail says the National Assembly is not performing its primary function, rather ensuring solidarity with its members, even if it's against the law. And Emmanuel Akpan. So we cannot use our cards like ATM card where the card reader can be flexible and user-friendly. For now, you cannot use your card as an ATM. At Chris, says, please, is there any way one can make some changes using the app that's change of name and birth date?
No, basically what you can do on the application is just for information, but we have a resources section. When you click it, it gives you different areas that if you have issues. So for example, if this person has any complaint, what we'll advise is that such a complaint is a change in his data. He has to contact INEC for such a thing. So we do have the INEC, state offices and maps for how to locate them and also the physical address. So I would recommend that such a person visits the state office of INEC in his state and then lodge the complaint. So in our resources, we give a lot of information where you can know how to do that. But for someone that is looking for it on Google Play, the get registered is a compound word. Yeah, I was going to read that. Yes.
The tweet came from Victor Olubumoye, who says, please tell the guests that the app is not found on Google Play Store.
No, it's there. It's just for him to type get registered is a single word.
Okay, and get registered is a single word. That's GETREGISTERED.
Is a single word.
Get registered.
Niger.
Get registered. Niger is part of the one word.
Yeah, no. Get registered is
Get
a
registered
word.
is one word.
Yes.
Niger is another word. Then .com.
Yes. No, not .com. Then
Okay.
Niger is, that's if you want to search it on Google Play.
Okay.
But it's easier for you just to go to the website, which is displayed on the screen
That's
now.
www.getregisteredniger.com.
Yes. If you go to this website, it will show you. You just see it where it says "Get the app." When you click on that, it takes you to Google Play as well. So this is much faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Victor Olubomoye, please try that out now.
Yeah.
And let us have your feedback quickly, so that if anything is still wrong, then we'll let the guests also address it.
Yeah.
Temi Fanoku says, Mr. Gbenga, good job. Please, I want to ask Mr. Abiodun where I can transfer my voter's card, or where I can transfer my voter's card. Yes, he's asking where you do that.
So for example, that's
is there the INEC local government office?
Yes, there are two options. He can visit the local government office, and then he has to write to the electoral officer there, and then he will state where he wants to transfer it to. Or he can visit the state office and write to the resident electoral commissioner. Okay. But there's
I assume that there's a desk in those two places.
Yes, once he gets to the
INEC
office, either the local government or at the state, he can make the inquiry, and then they'll direct him to the officer where he's to submit his request. But on our application, if he downloads the application, you will have the full process, the full steps that he's to take, you know, including the official letter he will write, the voter's card that he has to attach to it, the existing one that he has. So you attach it to the letter, which will now be submitted, because you know the card you have now is tied to a polling unit in a particular LGA. So let's say in Amak now, but you want to do it in Kotonkarfi, in Kogi State. So you have to attach the existing one you have to that letter and forward it to the commission, either the local government or.
And then I assume that whoever is doing that should also have found out using this new app to find out the polling units in Kotonkarfi.
Yes.
So that when you are picking a polling unit, you are picking one that is close.
Yes, he can
to
now
where you are going to be staying
on election day. So he can also make a request that he would like, you know, to be posted to a particular polling unit, in Kotonkarfi, so that he will not be given somewhere that will be so difficult,
traveling long distance
on election day. So through the application, he can get the full breakdown of the process of transferring his voter's card. So it's right there, and that's one of the things that we created it for, to make it easy and to answer this kind of questions.
Okay. West Point Chamber says, when will the Apple version of Get Registered Niger be ready? Then Fred Modi say, I am on the site via my laptop, but the section regarding the location of registration centers cannot be accessed. Can you address that?
No, if his laptop does not have Android, it depends on his laptop.
That might be the problem.
Yes, it's operating
if you are using your laptop and your operating system is not
your
Android.
operating system is Windows, most likely, or is an Apple laptop. Most of the laptops we have are Apple laptops, or Windows laptop, majorly. So I'm sure that if he's trying to open it on his computer system,
on his laptop,
yes, but if he tries it on his phone, that is Android he will open it successfully without a single challenge. But if he also tries it on, like the question on Apple, as I speak to you, the Apple is being developed. And we are hoping that before the end of August, the Apple version will be ready for iOS.
Olorunsogo is just following us. Tayo Akiyemi says, I wonder why House of Reps suddenly go cold on Supreme Court judgment. Then A.K. Sebastian, Ozone is saying, welcome development. I think INEC is becoming resolute. It's not INEC that is doing this. I was going to come to that, really. What kind of level of support have you received from INEC to drive this innovation? Yes, we'll come to that. A.K. Sebastian Jr., I appreciate the efforts Nigerians are making to see that elections are free and fair, devoid of much fraud as in the norm. Victor Stark, what is the app that your guest is talking about, and is it available on the Play Store? The app we are talking about, can you mention it quickly?
Yes, Get Registered Niger is a mobile application to enable you to get all the information that will require you to get registered in the current CVR, continuous voter registration process.
Okay, you can also aid you in a whole number of ways.
Yes, so many information, yes. I mean, it answers all your questions. And if you want to get it, www.getregisteredniger.com, or you can type Get Registered Niger in your Google Play, when you go to Google Play, and then it will bring it out. But Get Registered is a single word.
Okay. A thumbs up for you. First Post Nigeria is tweeting us with that Twitter handle. Tweeting at us with that Twitter handle. Say the Get Registered app is working perfectly. So that's thumbs up.
Yeah, thank you.
Victor Olubumoye, thank you, Okugbenga. I'm downloading the app already. Good. The space after the register before Nigeria makes the difference, okay?
Yeah.
And then Ajibola Ola says the app is on Play Store. INEC should be attached as the last word. It's already working on my phone. Good. Then also say Dr. Wega. Hey. Okay, well, thank you for giving me that. I've just downloaded the app from Google Play Store. All right, good too. Chidi saying, regarding the Hammer Hebe issue, I advise all the female members in the National Assembly to revolt. This must stop. I tell you, all the women, revolt. Let's have about some kind of Abba riot, about women's riot in the National Assembly. Thank you. I've been able to download from Play Store. Good job, INEC. I said it's not INEC. Why are you giving the credit to INEC now? The person who should get the credit is there. I'm sure Mr. Zazel will be very happy wherever he is now. And then Zub Zero says, I just downloaded the app quite easily. Great job. How do I retrieve my lost PVC? I'm not in the state where I registered. That's Prince Alhaji Ibrahim.
Yeah. Well, basically, in that kind of situation...
How do I retrieve my lost PVC?
Yes, in that kind of situation, I would advise him to walk into the commission at the INEC office closest to him, either at the state or at the local government, and indicates, and he will have to write a letter that explains that he has lost or misplaced his PVC. Because as you can see in some of the recent publications by the commission, they have stated that they have actually reprinted some PVCs of some individuals before now. So he will have to make that complaint there. So basically, as I said, this tool is not for him to fix that online here, but it's for him to know where to get the problem solved. So I would advise him to either go into the local government office in his state, or goes to the state office if he's in the state capital, or he's close to the state capital. It's better to go to the state office. But if he's not there, if he's in a local government that is far away from the state capital, he can go to the local government office and lodge his complaint.
This app has not addressed the issue of the fact that people have to travel a long way to go to the local government headquarters where the ongoing voter registration, continuous voter registration is taking place.
Yeah, it hasn't, but we have something.
Is it a drawback that INEC decided that the continuous voter registration should be
at the local government? Well, they've also added 302 centers across the country. Okay. So plus the 774 AG offices,
maybe
it takes
the
us
level
to about
of publicity
1,000.
for that is not much.
Yes, and we have also requested from them the list of the 302 centers so we can update it on the app, so that you can also get those additional locations as well. But one of the things we are thinking is that we've made a suggestion, which we hope that we can get the commission interested in, is that we want to think of an area of scheduling. Okay? So, for example, if you cannot do it in all the polling units or wards, because it is very expensive for the commission to do so, at each registration center it has about 5 staff. So if it does that at ward level of about 9,000 wards, it will be very, very costly. Our polling unit level of 120,000 polling units. So one of the suggestions, like with the visa, if you're applying for US visa, they schedule you. Yeah. So they say, okay, between now and the next 3 months, because it's done in 3-month cycles. As you know, the register for the last 3 months is going to be open starting from today till the 28th of July. That's throughout this week for the initial one that has been done so far. Yeah. Now, if you schedule it on 3 months and you say, okay, if you want to register, right, you have a certain maximum number of people per day that can be accepted in each particular registration center. So you can now register online or with an SMS or any other way, and then you will be given a particular date. Now, on that date, you are assured that you are going to be registered because you have been registered in this, just like on visa stuff. And then by the time you can plan, so even if your local government is 3 hours from you, you can say, okay, I'm only going to do this once, okay? And the day that will be convenient for me is 25th of September, for example. And so you can fix that day,
give it a priority for
that day. And you're also sure that when you go, you will be registered because you would have registered already. So this is a suggestion we've made to the commission to improve the scheduling so that it will increase the administration and make it easy for Nigerians. And then the commission also does not have to decentralize as well to the ward level. So we hope that is actually purely administrative, where it is something we cannot do because it's an administrative function.
I can assure you that I will take it up with INEC.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I must say that you are getting a lot of kudos and commendations on the platform. Obo Efanga. Obo is one of the newly
Edo States.
It's been posted to Edo State.
Yes, and he has even had his first press conference. He's doing a great job there.
I'm sure he's going to represent us very well.
Very well.
As a resident electoral commissioner.
Very
building on the achievements of
Very
the likes
well.
of Mike Igini and co.
Wonderful.
Obo Efanga is actually tweeting at us and says, cheers to my good friend and colleague, Mr. Ajijola, for the good job on the voter registration app. And it's putting you, we are putting you on the spot too, Obo. We are going to be, our eyes are going to be on you. You must represent us very well as a rec. All right. Thank you so much. There are so many other things, but we are out of time now. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Particularly for that very brave move. Leave Akure, 2 a.m. and headed for Abuja. Wow. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Abiodun Ajijola is National Coordinator, Election Monitor, founder, Get Registered Niger. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too for investing your time with us this morning. It has shown in the tweets that are pouring in. Thank you so much. Let's keep the conversation going. If there are requests that I can attend to on my own without seeking help, I will attend to it after here. But let's keep the conversation going. We'll probably continue along this line tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe we'll be able to get somebody from INEC to be here. Enjoy the rest of the day. Stay out of trouble. And I'll see you tomorrow.